Going to move to the IDA meeting. So Jasmine, will you please take a vote to confirm quorum and attendance?
Tim Dean,
Here.
Mark Doyle,
Yeah.
Kathy Bauer. Here. Amy Bonagiri.
Here.
James McComb.
Here.
Al Torriani, Deidre Houston.
Okay, just as in the last meeting, I want to remind everybody of our conflict of interest policy. Does anybody have a conflict with any item that's on the agenda for today? Go ahead.
I have a conflict with Jackson Crossing, but was that pulled?
That was pulled, right?
Been pulled.
Okay, that was mine as well.
Okay, and I would have one too, so that would be interesting. But no, that's been pulled and maybe we'll come back in January. Anything else? Okay, just again, reminding everybody is if anything comes up during the meeting that creates a conflict or potential conflict, please let us know and we'll discuss it and then consider refusing you. Proof of meeting notice posted?
Yes.
Okay. Bills and communications?
None?
Approval of minutes of November 13th. So again, in this packet, there is minutes from that November meeting. Did everybody have a chance to review it? And if so, are there any corrections or amendments that might need to be made? Okay. Would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mark. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Jamie. Jasmine, would you please take the vote to approve minutes?
Mark Doyle,
Approve?
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Amy Bonagiri.
Approved.
James McComb.
Approve.
Tim Dean.
Approve. Okay, report of the treasurer. Jane, you're back.
Looking at the, excuse me, the balance sheet as of November 30th, 2024, there's not much change. The cash is 2.3 million. And pretty much the receivables and everything have stayed the same. Looking at the P&L, we have, before pilot payments, we have 573,000 for a budget of 925,000. So right now we're unfavorable to budget by 352,000. We have total expenses before the pilot payments, 687,000 to a budget of 749,000. So far we're favorable by 62,000. We should be pretty much on budget. We still have the Agra payment of 30,000 and then the audit. So we should pretty much be on target for our expenses. We have a net loss right now of 113,000 to a budget of 176,000. So far we're unfavorable by 290,000, and that's all reflected in the revenue.
Sarah, has the county executive budget been finalized?
Yes, it was finalized and approved.
Okay, so we have a reduction.
Yes.
And so are we going to revise any of our financial documents, our budget to reflect that or?
So it's on the LDC side,
I'm sorry, yes, okay.
but right now on the LDC side, we don't have any, our expenses are fairly slim. So, and those have been, some of them have been committed. So we'll take a look at it and we'll be
Yes.
very mindful of that.
Yes,
If it remains, so I would suspect in the 2026 budget, there would be some significant changes.
yeah, okay.
What was the reduction?
So,
Did it stay as,
no, so we for the past, yeah, I don't know, 10 years, we've been, our contract has been 450,000. It's been reduced to 200,000.
So I do have a meeting with Ron Hicks to discuss that and to get a little bit more background on it. And I certainly will report back to the board on that. And if there's any need for any other, board level discussions, we certainly can have those.
Can we just ask what the communication was in this process?
So there really wasn't much communication. I was just notified that it was reduced. So this was still, and this was.
Significantly.
Significantly. And this was already, the county executive had already announced her budget. So, and that's when I was notified. So I think, my discussions with Tim was, we just, we probably would have agreed to it if not, but had we just been kind of
into
notified, walked into discussion and just been notified of that because we feel we've been working with the county very closely and we have a good relationship, but just to kind of
Blindside.
blindside us and say, I mean, because the reasoning I think we would all have agreed is that we do have the fund balance
Yeah, right.
temporarily to do that.
Absolutely.
But just not having given the opportunity to be aware of that ahead of time.
Historically, there have been times when we have definitely helped, we almost 900,000 in revenue that we either forgave or, in arrears sort of, or agreed to not collect in the future. So, yeah, it was just, we would have liked to have been part of the process and to partner in it. But I'll meet with Ron and see if I can get some more background. And we'll go from there.
Well, it is a partnership because
Yes.
there are times when we
Yes.
probably, our budget will not look
Correct.
good at all.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we will need them.
Yep. So,
I do have one
Yes.
question relative to, so these numbers on our P&L, do they reflect the payment of the 200,000 to the
Yes,
LDC?
yes.
Okay.
The
Right.
check was cut at the end of November and deposited.
All right, so that would be upsetting if. Okay,
anything else?
all right.
Okay, moving on from that, reports of committees.
No reports?
Okay, unfinished business.
No unfinished business?
Okay, new business for consideration and approval of a final authorizing resolution for Jackson, oops, that's off.
I don't.
Apologies. For consideration and approval of final authorizing resolution for MHTC development and 18-22 Eastdale Avenue. So Sarah, I'll let you kick that off.
Yep. So, and I don't know if the applicant is on Zoom. But,
I just happened to see
okay.
Sarah's phone just lit up. Couldn't help but see it was one of the potential
okay.
participants.
Let's see. Okay, they're in the Zoom room. Peter, do you see? Yeah, do you see? Peter, do you see John Hedinger?
No, I see an iPad guest user.
Oh, no.
In the guest room?
David.
Yeah, that could be him.
Sounds like a much more fun thing than it actually is.
Okay. Okay, let's see. I'll be right back. Let me see. I'll be right
Okay,
back.
we're gonna just hold
Just
for
hold
1
it.
second.
Do you want to talk about some tourism data?
Throw it at us.
So just sharing some of our visitor profile data, some of the information we get from our Zardico dashboard. You don't have this part in your packet. This is just some information I did at the.
So let me just stop for a quick sec and say, while we're waiting to sort this out, Melaine Rothkamp from Dutchess County Tourism is gonna begin her presentation.
Yeah, just some good data I shared at the EDAC meeting last week regarding our visitor profile. 53% of credit card holders visiting the county and spending money here are ages 25 to 54. 47% of those card holders have an income of more than $100,000. And then 53.2% are out of state. So a lot of people coming in from outside the area, and that the 39% have children in their household. So that's a difference because over the summer in Q1, it was a 50-50 split, families, not families. So really with the fall, which makes sense because kids are back in school, they've got sports on the weekends and things. So really our fall visitors weren't as many families as we saw other parts of the year. If you look at the visitor impact on our economy, so of all retail spending in the county, 24% comes from visitors.
Say that one more time.
24% of all spending at our retail stores come from visitors, with an average transaction of $112. So that's incredibly significant, especially as the county is looking towards its sales tax collection and how our visitor economy impacts that. 17% of all spending at restaurants comes from visitors. restaurants run really thin margins without those visitors. Many of our favorite places wouldn't survive. And that's an average transaction of $94. The impact on our attractions, 36% of spending at attractions comes from visitors. That's not a huge surprise. That's an average transaction of $59. And this is domestic travelers only. We can't track international travelers the same way. They have more privacy protection.
I was saying, how are you tracking it through the credit cards? I mean,
Yeah,
And do
yeah.
you have to buy a program or they?
Oh, yeah. This is not cheap data.
No, yeah, no, it's interesting.
It is interesting, and it really helps us with our targeting and who our audience is and knowing what they're doing and what they're liking. This is just a small piece of some of the information that we get. You know, it looks at where their credit card, what the zip code is of
Yeah.
where their billing is, you know, with the geolocation. So that's how we can see, you know, where their phone sleeps versus where they are spending more than 2 or 3 hours in a destination, a number of miles away from their home base. So, I mean, I don't know that it's Mark Doyle visiting, you know.
Now, what would you speculate on the foreign part? It's gotta be,
It's significant too, because later when Sarah comes back and I dive into the report that you do have, you're gonna see the international traffic
Right.
we get to our website.
Okay.
Even our visitor, those finder passes, 3 international passes were down from Belgium, Israel, and somewhere else, I forget the other country, Germany maybe. So people are using those passes when they get here to help find their way around and find experiences. And, you know, if you've been to Desai Blue Sacre Brewery, on the wall there, they have their pin map of where people are coming from. And you look at all the people from Japan, so many people from Australia, New Zealand. We've been doing a lot of familiarization tours with people and bringing a lot of media there. So that's bringing that audience there. And then from all over the country and other parts of the world. So, you know, that's real data, people putting in their pins. You know, people, you talk to the walkway ambassadors and you'll just be up on the walkway and you hear all these different languages and people from all over. And so that's also significant, and that's not factored into any of these numbers. So those numbers would be higher if we had that data. So just if you want to look at that, our hotel occupancy year over year is much higher than 2023. That has 11% growth this year, even with adding 800 new hotel rooms.
And that was because of the strike probably, right? Wasn't that the strike last year?
Oh,
film.
from the films,
Yeah.
yeah. So that hurt for sure. That definitely makes an impact.
any information specifically about the new hotel, like the
The Inn at Belfield,
yes.
doing
how
very
big-
well.
are they? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there was at some point discussion, hopefully for the future, an additional
Yeah, there is.
hotel there.
Yes.
So-
Yes, and they are exploring that.
Okay, so the
Yes.
volume is
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
it's not a problem. And people do, especially in that part of the county, where you have so many key attractions in Hyde Park and further north. There aren't enough lodging properties up there to support the people who want to come in and spend money at our businesses. And as you're looking at different communities restricting short-term vacation rentals, that's an even bigger problem. Because then people are just gonna make day trips and you know they spend a third of what overnight visitors spend. Or they'll go across the river or north and spend their money there. I would rather they spend their money here at our businesses. So, you know, those are all really important questions and some answers there. So back to where we were.
So, I just wanted to make sure he is on.
Okay.
Or not.
Technology.
What else we got? What else you wanna know?
We have a difficult time bringing people into our Zoom meeting, but we know data on everybody.
Yeah.
That's it.
Crossing state lines.
Technology is a plus.
So how does that compare to, you know, other parts of this country? Because that seems like an enormously high tourism percentage.
Well, New York City is much higher.
That's what I
And
was,
we benefit from that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because we are that one step beyond. People have been to they love New York. They've been to New York, especially international visitors. You know, so they're like, what haven't I done yet? Where can
Rensselaer
I go?
County would be an interesting one to look at.
much lower.
Yes and no, because they don't have a real tourism office like we do. They have a person part-time who really kind of
So
schedules
they're not gonna have to
events.
pay for that analytical data.
Are we ready, Sarah?
No, so they're having trouble getting on because I sent them the correct link, but they say that it's not
Okay.
doing that. So I think,
Maybe we'll take this down.
what,
Microphone?
yeah,
Yeah, they can just call in, can't they?
yeah. Let's see. I'll call him.
Okay.
It's wild to think that New York City, with all of the financial exchanges and all of that, that tourism,
But a simple train line, you know,
big,
Yeah.
to here.
yeah, well,
Hi, John.
the train line provides us with.
We don't know what's going on with the Zoom link, because that's the one that everyone else is on. So do you mind presenting via phone? I have you on speakerphone.
I don't mind at all. I could absolutely also, would you like me to try to patch in Amandine?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, just one sec.
Do you want to see if that can be heard through the Zoom?
Yes, I'll just
Yeah.
double check.
You're good.
Technology.
Excellent.
I don't know if we want to skip ahead while he patches in.
I think we'll just give him a,
Okay.
let's just give it a second.
Okay.
Now that we are working on it.
Yeah.
And Sarah, actually, while he does that, maybe you could just, introduce the matter before
Okay,
us.
yes. So we have this morning 1822 Eastdale Avenue LLC. This is a request by MHTC Eastdale Villages to reallocate previously approved benefits to 1822 LLC, of which MHTC is going to be the minor partner in the LLC. It is going to house a wine shop, La Caviste, a wine shop, and Prometheus Associates, a purveyor of cigars. And then on the second floor will be 3 apartments. The public hearing was held Wednesday of December 4th, of which the board has received copies of the transcript and 2 written comments that we received from the public.
So John, have you been successful in bringing people in?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Amandine Noka is on the call as well.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is the final authorizing resolution. We have previously approved a preliminary resolution. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the applicants at this time? Okay. Do we need any, these are things similar to what we've approved in the past. Does anybody have any questions for the two folks that are the folks that are actually operating the wine shop or the cigar shop? Mark?
Just for a point of information, when will the opening of the store be?
Hopefully, at some point next summer. Sometime before the fall, to be determined.
Mark, are you thirsty or?
Always interesting.
Popular question.
It's a new business, I take it, from scratch, not a transfer of an existing business.
Correct.
And that's interesting to understand.
So is it new construction as well? In the general location? Which side of the street, I guess?
It's the south side, I believe, right?
That's exactly right. It's adjacent to the Blue Olive and Live Inspired, which recently opened, and across the slip road from Lola's, which we discussed back in July, I believe.
Indicated that the person who's doing this is a woman, and she's concentrating on women who are actually producing wines, and that's a focus of what she's.
Women winemakers. That's an unusual.
Yeah. Okay, would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve this transfer of the benefits that already exist?
I'll make a motion.
Somebody do like a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, Catherine, will you please take a roll call vote?
Mike Dorr, Mike Dorr, Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Amy Bondieri, Sandra Cohen,
Approved.
Jim Zine.
Approved. Okay, so that final resolution is passed, and we wish everybody success in getting their operations up and running.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
No problem. No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, so one thing that I asked Sarah to look into, I do read the public comments, and part of the public comments was a concern that we approve a project and then in the future, the owners appeal their tax valuation, and thus it reduces the outlying benefits to the municipality and the school. And so I asked Sarah just to do some research and look back and to inform us of if this actually happened and how often.
So I look back 10 years, and in the past 10 years, 3 projects did ask for reduction in their assessment, and they all happened in the 2023 tax year.
How many total projects did you look at?
So I look back at all 10 years worth of all
Right.
the projects. So we have 28 projects that currently have active pilots. And so they had 3 instances. In those projects were Violet Estates had asked for a reduction. They were initially assessed at 14,000 and asked for a reduction to 11,000. The reason being.
14,000?
Or 14 million, 14 million, I'm sorry, 14 million, and asked for a reduction of 11 million. They were successful in getting that. And the reason for that is they had made they had met with the town before the project was being constructed and wanted an assessment of that. And the number was around the 11 million figure. So the town settled for, back to 11 million. As part of the settlement, the project did not ask for any refund or repayment on the overpayment of the first year of the pilot.
So that was sort of an appeal and sort of not, because the number of 11 million was what was agreed to by the town for the opening of the project previously.
Yes.
So, but anyway. Okay.
Yes, and also too is when we did our cost benefit analysis, we had set the post construction assessment at actually 5 million. So it was assessed much higher than our cost benefit analysis. Yeah, had originally projected. The other project was across the street, Neptune. They have 3 parcels and they asked for reduction in 2 of the parcels. And they were minor. It was like a $500,000 reduction with the 2 parcels combined.
In the assessment,
In the
not the
assessment,
collected tax.
not in the collected taxes, but in the assessment.
Okay.
So it went from one of the parcels went from 2.75 million to 2.5 million. And then the third project, and then just to know that the 3 parcels combined pre-construction, and I don't have the figure exactly, but it was considerably less than the 3.
And that assessment, that particular one was because they actually lost a tenant. So I would consider it to be temporary.
Yeah, it was temporary, and then we'll see it this year, because now they have tenant. Well, they lost their largest tenant, which is Bounce, and then the Taco Bell moved in. It used to be a burger place, and then Taco Bell moved in, and so that's the other parcel. So
I thought that was informative, and I hope that helps provide some guidance to the letter writer. And certainly it doesn't mean it can't happen in the future, but we have 28 projects who in theory every year could appeal their taxes.
What was the third?
And the third one was 165 Overlook. They had again, I don't have the figure, but they were assessed at I think I have the email. Let me check the email.
165 Overlook is the apartments or the?
It's the apartments.
The former Lewis Farms?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes, okay. So, it's 165 Overlooked, and they asked for a reduction from 20 million to 17 million. The pre-assessed, before IDA involvement, that property was assessed at 1.1 million. When we did our cost benefit analysis for that project, we used a post-construction assessed value of 9.3 million.
So in every case, we've been very conservative in our, our analysis of the benefits and, but yes, so that does happen, as we can see very occasionally, and has not adversely impacted any of the benefits, the value that we receive in return for those benefits.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we can take a look at once in a while to make sure that that continues that way. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so do we want to just go to tourism and then go back to capitalization after that, since Elaine started already?
Excellent.
All right, let's do that.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. Thanks for your time. The Q3 report reflects what we talked about at the last time I was here, because we had gotten our numbers. And just to reiterate, the visitor spending in 2023 increased 7.1% over 2022, which means it's more than $2 million a day on average spent by visitors here in Dutchess County. Those visitors contribute $93 million in state and local taxes, and all that gets reinvested into programs benefiting our residents. Each household, if all that money went away, would have to pay $817 more in taxes to make up for that same level of government services. Tourism supports more than 9,800 jobs, accounting for 9% of our county's workforce with a combined wage of $389 million. These jobs are not just entry-level minimum wage seasonal jobs, but they are jobs of professionals also, able to climb that ladder, whether you're a museum curator or instructor, or you're working in the theater and the arts or the baseball stadium or other things. A wide variety of careers funnel into this pot. We received 3 New York State Tourism Industry Excellence Awards, which we're very proud of, especially because they're over a wide variety of different topics, from our Accessible program to our Certified Tourism Ambassador program, which just graduated, so to speak, our 500th person in just over 2 years. So we have more than 500 people in the county go through this Tourism Ambassador program. So an award for that, as well as for our county bike tour brochure. If you look at page 2 of the report, you'll see the social media that the incredible growth that we've had. And part of that is because it's paid. And the opportunities, we talked last time about our YouTube, where we haven't been able to invest much money at all. But if you look at our Instagram and our Facebook, 9% growth from Q2 on Instagram, 14% growth on Facebook. The engagement continues to grow exponentially on that Instagram account, and the number of reels played through that platform are also the reels that we have used to launch our TikTok. And so TikTok's still building an audience, but it's double duty for those videos. So it's not extra work, but it's extra benefit. The paid reach is significant. We've also worked with content collaborators, so hitting our audience and their audience, promoting specific events, targeting high value, designated marketing areas has been really big. Our LinkedIn has been great. Our followers have doubled since Q2. I've had a concerted effort there, really focused on our business support efforts and the great media attention our PR team has been able to generate for us. And you see the benefit from that social media presence reflected in the numbers on our website. So best Q3 ever, with 706,000+ people going to duchesstourism.com and finding information, 24% growth year over year. International visitors, 7.6% growth year over year to almost 250,000 people from internationally looking at duchesstourism.com for travel information. highest quarter ever for our spotlights. Our spotlight articles are what's driving this visitation because people are finding it incredibly useful and it's getting shared everywhere and people are coming. The website is a lot. There's a lot of information on there. There's more than 1,200 businesses listed and supported there. So what our team has done is created seasonal landing pages, which kind of curate that comment. And when I go on the radio and do other media and promoting what's going on here, especially to local folks, it's duchesstourism.com/winter right now, or fall or spring or whatever season that we're in. So it has the curated list. So for right now, we're talking about where to cut your own Christmas tree, where to our holiday gift guide shopping, staff picks, everything from decorating great estates and light festivals and just a lot of top 10 events for December. In the fall, that's You Pick Farms, apples, pumpkins, fall festivals, fall food events and things. So it's depending on what season is, it's a great place to send people. And people are really finding that content helpful because they see one thing and they're like, ooh, I didn't know about this. Now I like that too. So it's really fantastic. We updated our website this year with our Wheel the World Destination Verified badge. Proud of the way we've been able to impact and improve accessibility for residents and visitors to our attractions, our hotels. More than 50 have been assessed for accessibility. We're not saying that everything is perfect for everyone, but it has been photographed, it has been measured, it has been written up so people can go to wheeltheworld.com and see the Duchess page and find out if a place is good for them, knowing what their own disability is. So just that guarantee, because if you know before you go, you're more comfortable going, you're more likely to go than to just take a chance and go and then find out a place is not accessible for you. So I've been working really hard on that project. If you look at page 4, there's a good summary of our PR efforts, our pitches. I Love New York has a new agency that they're working with. They were with Fin Partners before and they have switched to MMGY. And so we've been building relationships with them, getting great opportunities to pitch, including we did a pitch for the Today Show with Hoda and Jenna promoting Chef Claire DeBoer of the Stissing House based on the criteria of what they were looking for. Still waiting on that, but also TripAdvisor, some other things. There's an article from the Sydney Morning Herald in Australia based on a FAM tour that we did. There were multiple articles coming out from that trip. Page 5, our email marketing continues to be strong. If you're not signed up, sign up for our monthly newsletters. There's an industry-focused one that helps on all the business support that we offer, some helpful articles, some free seminars, anything going on. We did our Tourism Awards of Distinction in November, where we recognized tourism excellence by 23 finalists in different categories and announced the winners. It's a lot of fun. Had great participation, sold out event. And I'm sorry that it was while you had your meeting. Next time we'll coordinate better. Continuing paying attention to our spending, knowing that subscription fees for content continue to rise depending on how many subscribers you have on your list. So we're always looking to make sure that the people on our list are people who want our information. And so seeing that we have more than 20,000 opens on that email newsletter, people who want to get that information from us for that visitor newsletter. Page 6 gives a good overview of the highlights of our Q3 campaign, some of the work that we did to promote our area. Page 7 focuses on our agritourism efforts, our website, monthly e-newsletters, social media, including we have a dedicated food and farm experiences Facebook page. That's a great clearinghouse for that. Lots of great agritourism events to promote in the fall. So all that got a lot of great attention. 2 farm events were listed on that calendar, so there was no shortage of fun on the farm this fall. More than 24 county farms were promoted on our calendar. Agritourism events like the County Fair, Millbrook Horse Trials, Hudson Valley Wine and Food Festival, as well as the many makers that use local products. We promote those as well. 12 different Dutchess County farmers markets were promoted, and we shared our Farm Finder passes and brochures at all the farmers markets, at tourism information points, at all the farms, distributed those to those people who are interested.
A quick comment or question, maybe but cut your own Christmas trees the last 2 years has been insane to the point where the cut places had to close.
Cut out a whole bunch of my
Gables
guns.
every year is closing earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
Right, the one that I go to, we went, you have to go ahead of time and tag a tree in hopes that you can get one. And we did that before Thanksgiving. When we were there this year, he said, oh, come in April. I said to my wife, "That tree hasn't, their trees are too short now and they're only gonna grow a foot, but in April, it's not gonna grow at all. They're literally don't have any trees, so.
Yeah,
That's.
it's been wildly popular.
Yeah, since COVID, people wanted to get out in the fresh air and it hasn't stopped.
No, they
The
realize,
one Battenfeld in Red Hook, they had a line back to the Taconic.
they're featured in a lot of our
They
advertising.
closed, they ran out of trees.
Yeah, a lot of places have, and so it's frustrating for people, and, it's just like hotel rooms during the weekend of sheep and wool, like you gotta get them earlier.
But I wonder if there should be some type of coordination about the Christmas tree thing, because there may be other places that still have trees, but just.
And that's it, is trying to keep up with that, because we have the list, and try to keep up with it, and so,
Yeah, one place didn't even open this year.
there is one place that I think by, after Thanksgiving, by like Saturday evening, they were done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marlene, I don't know if you want to share, what you shared the other day about, you had called around for hotels in October and the hotel rates.
Yeah, so when I share our lodging data and our hotel data, it shows that, let me see, the average daily rate for the year for hotels is $148. Now, that takes into consideration a Monday in January as well as Saturdays in October. So that 148 doesn't really tell the whole picture, because looking around at the end, I said, let me just go check. Let me just go do a little quick search. Looking at the end of September, looking at October, not even looking at Columbus weekend, because I knew that would be crazy. We're at 98% occupancy on the weekends throughout the whole fall. And if you could find a room, because most places were sold out, I found a room for $614 at the Holiday Inn in Fishkill.
Oh.
And it wasn't a West Point football weekend. It was just a regular fall weekend. And so just to give you an idea of what that range can look like, and people say we don't need more hotels. We could use a few more. And that would drive prices down and would keep people from going other places. It would keep people from not coming at all, because they're like, that's a ridiculous price. They can't afford that. But making sure people can come and have a nice experience is, keep those prices competitive, but have availability. Trying to work with our colleges to not schedule graduations and parents' weekends all the same weekends. That would be awesome. Spread the wealth. So it's you can see the demand is there for those. Now, keeping up January, February, so one of the things, just to skip ahead, that we're doing is, for the first time since the pandemic, we're running a hotel week. And we haven't done it then, and we do a lodging roundtable 3 times a year. We get our partners together and we talk about things. And I said to them, because I told my team, I said, I think we're ready to do this again. And they were all in, and they're willing to do $99 a night. Hotel week is 2 weeks. Between Martin Luther King Jr. weekend and President's Day weekend. So not those 2 weekends, but the in-between for 2 weeks, $99 a night at 14 of our hotels.
Wow.
Including the Heartwood by Vassar, including the Inn at Belfield, including Curry Estates, as well as our other chain hotels. So really excited, been doing a lot of promotion about that. Philadelphia, Boston, Berkshires, Connecticut, Metro New York. Maybe you overspent at the holidays, but you still want a little getaway.
Sure.
Come do that, or spend less on your hotel, spend more at our restaurants and shops. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really optimistic about it. So excited about that to help to continue to drive those nights at that really slow time.
Great.
So back to page 8 and our Trail Finder passes. We have 150 different participating partners in those 8 passes. In Q3, 433 passes were downloaded from 16 different states and 3 countries, Belgium, England, and Israel. Those are the 3. Pass holders often download one, and then they find the other passes and say, oh, I'm interested in that, and then they do those as well. So they continue to be refreshed, and different prizes or check-in challenges or whatever. And so people are still very engaged with those passes. We host our Great Estates Garden and Landscape Weekends to help people go to the historic sites, enjoy the beautiful outdoor gardens. This is a program that came out of COVID when you couldn't go inside a lot of our historic sites. People love them, and they have a way to travel around to the different sites and see and have a special tour or special experience on those weekends. I'm going to skip the filming part for the Film Commission. In terms of our group travel and international travel, we work closely with I Love New York and with Brand USA. We did a VIP trade fam for 10 different companies with United Airlines of Germany and Switzerland. We were also able to partner with I Love New York to bring in Weekend Sunrise from Australia for 11 live feed interviews over 2 days for the Australian. It's like the Today Show of Australia, and there's only one. There's no competition. So, you see them doing their show, and then they cut away to a location. That was us for 2 days. And so that was really impactful and exciting to have them here. Also got a great feature in Qantas Magazine from a fam that we did in April of this year. So if you flip over and look at the page 10, Hudson Valley Film Commission highlights in Q3, $6 million in direct spending, 6,800 room nights, 38 production days, 10 different locations, 90 film-related jobs. And they consider a slow month, because there are contract negotiations happening with the motion picture and television producers and the IATSE. And so now things are picking up. One thing that was great for us here is Calling All Chefs. It's a Netflix production in partnership with the Culinary Institute of America. I can't wait for that to come out, because that's going to draw a lot of attention to Hyde Park and the CIA. There's a term that we're using in the industry called set jetting. Instead of jet setting, people are traveling to movie and TV locations that they've seen and they want to experience that. So it's set jetting. So we expect to have a lift for some of that. And we have seen the lift overall since A Quiet Place. And other places, people want to come in and see where things were filmed, even if they're scary and creepy. So that'll be great. They also stayed at the Hampton Inn Poughkeepsie and at Belfield, so they took a lot of hotel rooms too this year. So that was really terrific. Four Seasons, you've probably heard a lot about on the social media community forums. People seeing productions all over, starring Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Coleman Domingo. Looking forward to having that come out. They filmed all over the area, and a whole bunch of other things coming down the pipe that are happening. With regards to Arts Mid-Hudson, if you're looking at some of the great work that they've been doing, 55% of attendees at their events funded through their grant programs have come from outside of Dutchess County. La Gallegeza, which won our event award of distinction at our tourism awards, had more than 8,000 attendees to the city of Poughkeepsie waterfront. That's a huge economic boost for them. It's a really incredible festival. If you've never been, I highly encourage you to go. It's been about 15-ish years they've been doing it. 48% of those people are coming from outside of Dutchess County. So that's really exciting. They're also working with the Inn at Belfield to do art in the hotel there that is for sale. People have been actually buying the art that they see as they come out of the elevators, and they're all around the area. So it's been a great way to showcase local artists. Folk arts programming continues to happen. Hudson Valley Gospel Festival, this is the 5th year. Mary Kay started that in February of 2020, and it continues to grow. It's gotten a really nice audience for that. And then the Bardavon, they have a new director was announced. So I'm looking forward to meeting him and working with him. They were closed most of July and August for some renovations, but their programming continues to grow and expand and draw even more audiences. They use a calculator from the Americans for Arts and Economic Prosperity, showcasing that $238,000 in economic stimulation based on their programming that they have. So that's all I have to share with you. If you're super excited, you want to read the whole thing and you have other questions, let me know, but happy to answer questions about what we talked about this morning.
Questions? Talk a little bit about that festival in City of Poughkeepsie that you referred to that's been a tremendous success.
Yeah, so La Gallegeza highlights the music, art, food, dance festival of the Oaxaca, Mexico. City of Poughkeepsie has the largest diaspora of people from Oaxaca in the country. And so it is a wonderful place full of just having a wonderful time, rain or shine. I've been there both, but the vibrant colors, the positivity in the crowds, it's a really special thing that they've been able to harness there down at Warriors Park there. One last thing too is Dutchess Tourism, we're doing a resident sentiment study. We're partnering with Longwoods International. It's a major research company in our industry, highly respected. Survey ends Friday. If you could take 10-ish minutes to do this for me, I would really appreciate it. It's all over social, but if you want to scan the QR code, that's here too. Thanks.
I have taken it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We sent it to the board. So.
Oh, good. Thank you so much for doing that. It's one of the great things about it is they will also have regional and national benchmarks for us to compare to as well to see how we're doing.
Any questions? Well, thank you very much for that report. Things continue to be very positive in tourism.
We do what we can.
Okay, next on the agenda, Dutchess County LDC presentation.
Or did we do the capitalization policy?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back to that. My apologies. So in our packets, I would imagine, just like with the other one, there's a revised one. People could take a look at that. It looks like similar changes to the other one.
It is, it's exactly the same. We're requesting approval for going from 1,000 to 5,000 for a capital asset.
Would somebody be willing to make a motion to approve this revised capitalization policy?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Jasmine, will you please take a vote on that?
Mark Doyle,
Approved.
Kathy Bauer. Approved. Amy Bondieri. Approved. Jim Picone.
Approved.
Approved. Okay, now let's go to the third quarter LDC presentation.
Yes. So third quarter was a really productive quarter for us at I think Dutchess. So in terms of requests for information, we received 21 inquiries for potential site locations in Dutchess County. This was a real pickup because the first 2 quarters of the year, I had mentioned, we did a lot of traveling to trade shows, and we met with a lot of site selectors during those 2 quarters, and it really paid off in the third quarter with a rise in inquiries. We were able to attract up to 7 new companies to Dutchess County. This is a combination of IDA projects and then also smaller projects that we have that didn't come for IDA benefits, but we were able to find placement for them. Those industries tend to be the smaller retail and service industries that we found space for. So as a result, we have, I'm sorry, I don't have my reading glasses on, but about $98 million in new investment with projected 486 new jobs to be created once they're up and running. We attended, again, 8 trade shows in the first 2 quarters, and we had to identify 2 new sites, 2 new prime sites to market. iPark in Fishkill is one of them. They had 2 sites that were reserved for semiconductor supply chain companies, but those deals actually ended up walking away because of green chips money not coming in time. And then, so we lost those. So those 2 sites, unfortunately came back online. And so those are the we'll be marketing heavily.
And what size sites are those?
So they
within existing buildings?
They're within existing buildings. So one is about 100,000 square feet, but with the ability, with some moving around current tenants, to be up to 300,000 square feet. And the other one is Actually, it's a parking lot right now, and that can be up to 500,000 square feet.
So the 300,000 square feet, is that high ceiling?
So it can be.
Okay.
It can be.
Okay. All right, well, it's sad to hear two left, but it's
Yeah.
also good that we have some available.
Yes, because
Very
our
limited.
our industrial vacancy rate is has been hovering about 1.2. So it's been a real challenge. I would say that the average inquiry that we get is for space that is looking for about 500,000 square feet. And right now, our average industrial space is about 250,000 square feet.
Do we have any place where we can put that kind of request right now?
So right now, no. So we are so the industries that we are going after are clean tech companies and some R&D and some foreign direct investment, because those offices tend to need they're almost like startup-ish, so they don't need quite as much space. So we're targeting those industries.
And is there any land that's in the process of being made available for these requirements?
So yes and no. So the challenge is there is land. It doesn't have the infrastructure that these companies are looking for. So that's a challenge, because in order to get the power that they may need can take up to 5 years to get, and they need to and then they would want municipal water and sewer. So those are the challenges, that we do have the land, but then we don't have the infrastructure, and then the cost to bring that infrastructure can be quite expensive. So we're in a good place, but in a bad place.
So Sarah and I attended a meeting actually at the Westchester Business Council, but it was part of something from the New York State Business Council. And one of the common themes was in New York, outside of major metropolitan areas, the unavailability of infrastructure, whether it's the water and sewer and electric, but also streets and roads are in such terrible shape. So those are limiting factors. But at the same time, business also is trying to encourage careful spending by government, right? So you've got this need. Nobody wants to pay for their infrastructure. They want it to be funded somehow municipally. But, when you get into more rural areas, that a mile of road or a mile of trenches for water and sewer is tremendously expensive.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And one challenge that we have encountered with ALEAD is they're an industrial manufacturer, but the properties that are undeveloped, what has happened is residential has developed around them, and the company developer is reluctant to go in there because they are industrial, and
It's going to be opposed.
it's going to be opposed by the new, the residential. So while the zoning has always remained that, so that's been a challenge as well. But we're still, the good news is that we're still top of mind of site selectors. We are in, close contact with them, and, constantly trying to find a place to welcome this industry, because we do have, a highly skilled workforce. We are considered desirable in our location, proximity to major metropolitan areas and things like that. So we continue to promote that.
Okay.
For business retention expansion, that's really where we see a lot of activity. We are, out there visiting manufacturers and providing some technical assistance. We are a little bit low on our technical assistance because we rely on our partners, WETC, to provide some of that technical assistance for us. And WETC has had some, I would say, staffing challenges on that front. So as a result, our technical assistance that we provide is a little bit on the lower side. But based on conversations that we had with WETC, we think that will, it will remain low for probably the rain or this year, but for next year, it'll come back on par. So, but we are, busy on that front. We do have businesses locally that are interested in expanding. and looking for workforce. Those are the two largest inquiries that we get from our companies. Our marketing is also doing well. We've advertised in a lot of trade magazines and gotten good response from that. We can see that in the leads that we've been getting. Our social media does well. I think it complements Dutchess Tourism's efforts. We are seeing a huge increase on our LinkedIn engagement. And that tells us that the right audience, the corporate users and site selectors are really viewing our page. We are seeing a dip in our Facebook and our Instagram. That's where we usually do our quality of life marketing. We've been kind of taking our pedal off of that a little bit because just housing, if we attract people to move here, we just don't have, product for them to take. So we don't want to, sell a product that we don't necessarily have. So we've taken a little bit of gas off of that. But we, again, work very closely with our partners, and tourism has been doing a great job in promoting that quality of living in our county. And then the last two is just an update on the IDA and LDC. IDA has closed on 6 projects to date. 2 of them are Two Cross and Mirabo, and the 4 remaining are on amendments to MHTC, which are the Eastdale projects. Projects pending is Hudson Valley Homestead, which is expected to close later this month, and then NRI, the hotel. They say they will close next year sometime.
Is it reasonable to count those MHTC ones as new projects, because we're really just transferring benefits that have already been granted?
So I made a thing that they're really amendments executed, because they are new in the sense that the master application, the job goals, we've exceeded the job goals with these new projects. So these are new jobs that we are creating that are above what Eastdale has.
The original construction.
Original construction and permanent jobs. So these are new establishments.
True.
So so I did a special line item saying amendments executed versus new projects.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, I'm sorry.
So that's as a result, we've seen about $98 million in investment for that. And then for the LDC, we closed on, as you may remember, a project back in January, the BARD for the Performing Arts Lab.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Sarah about this? Are we looking at, we've always had this challenge of available space in the county, and some always seems to appear at times. But does the forward look at what could become available, does that influence? As you mentioned, we're not advertising on Instagram because we don't have certain things that it would generate, but does that influence how we go after projects? People, the places we go to, conventions and things to promote Dutchess.
Yes. So based on what we have available, because we want to, sell inventory that we have or the potential of inventory. So we do, actually around this time, talk about this. Talk about the trade shows that we want to attend, in 2025, and then when we talk to site selectors, site selectors often have a specialty. So while we are in contact with all the site selectors, there's certain ones that we are in closer contact with, or we say, we may not have a space for the types of projects you have, but you never know. So just kind of, keep us just, in mind, and we check in with them every so often.
Okay.
So,
What's the progress or the status of the state-owned facilities, the prisons and all of that property? It's a lot of real estate.
yeah, so the town of Fishkill and New York State are in conversation and discussion with Downstate Prison. And trying to, I guess, what I would say, come to an agreement of what type of development. The town is open to having a mixed-use housing development down there, which was proposed by the state. The state had found a developer to create housing at Downstate. What what Fishkill was concerned with was the density of that housing. So they're in conversation of, what is the right number of housing units, for that property.
So in this instance, it seems a little weird that although it's within the municipality, the state is actually acting as a municipal agent for
They own the
developing.
property.
They own the property, but
Yes.
they're sort of
Yes.
deciding the future of the town.
So similar to, the government, state of New York government has come up with a priority of affordable housing. And so they are pushing that in a lot of communities. And affordable housing, meaning housing for, it's not Section 8, right? This is, housing at a much higher level. But, and Fishkill is an example, they are facing some resistance about, building housing of a density that would allow for it to be somewhat reasonably priced.
Yeah, they call it a workforce at the.
Yeah, and so you need the density in order to have pricing on the rentals or the houses that's reasonable. So you do have a fight, communities. So
Although
yes.
it's my understanding that there is a group in Fishkill that wants to know why there isn't more affordable housing.
Correct.
Right in town side.
No, it is a challenge for sure.
But the state's also been working with the city of Beacon. There's a small prison that closed several years ago, Camp Beacon.
Yeah.
And it's just go around and around.
Yeah, so yes,
It's
that.
horrible.
Yes, so, and that is, I don't know if the RFP on that has been released.
It was gonna go back out.
It's
because
gonna
the
go back
original
out.
person
Yeah, so they
that
took
had
it
it
back,
was
yes.
a bicycle touring community.
Yeah. So what happened was, it was out in RFP several years ago. It was awarded to a developer. The developer ended up not doing anything with the property, so the state took it back. And then they are taking a look at what would be, the ideal uses for that, and then put that out. One other thing is Metro North is putting out RFPs for development around their train stations. The RFP for development around the Beacon train station, that RFP was due, I would say right before Thanksgiving, that RFP for that. And then the city of Poughkeepsie, the RFP for development around the Poughkeepsie train station will be released within the next few weeks.
These are potentially very tall projects. They own, if you think about around the city of Poughkeepsie train station, that parking garage and the footprint, that could be a very interesting for a developer to build a higher, apartment, so depending on how the economy goes, they may get some very interesting responses from people looking to build large numbers of.
Well, they still have the real estate, the old parcel, was it the Breezy and?
So, yeah, so.
Oh, the brown, yes.
On the waterfront.
That's been RFP'd again also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And the neighbors are not happy about.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So
So,
these are examples of, trying to move forward, but you do have constituencies that, have different views. So it's challenging. It's in New York State, what do they say? To get a subdivision approved is a minimum of 20 years. So.
I'm working on one for 25.
Right. So the point of it is a developer that gets to the point in their business life where they have the means to do that, it may not be able to be done in their lifetime. So it's just discouraging to them, right? And again, I'm not offering an opinion on whether each one is good or bad, but the point of it is we do have a environment in New York where people are not willing to put the time and effort into it if it's going to take that long on a parcel that is zoned to be that type of development. So it's imagine the expense of taking 20 to 25 years to just get your land approved, right? And so, you know, it's interesting. People, so there's a lot of studies going around housing. I think, and I haven't had a chance to get a copy of it. We had the Pattern for Progress was in and discussed it a bit, but I guess the Roosevelt Institute just released a report on housing and the problems with schools and all of that stuff. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the put in perspective is housing is a national issue, not just a Dutchess County issue. So, they are looking at ways to address, the housing shortage and, basically the US has stopped building new construction since basically at the pace, I think they've said in the mid-'80s, the pace slowed down quite a bit. And then it almost came to a halt with the 2008 housing crisis. So you're basically making up for 40 years of non-residential building.
But if you look at a house that today in Dutchess County, I forget what the average house cost is.
$466,000.
Right, so if you look at the cost of the land, the fixed cost of somebody just buying that lot to put their house on it, it's amazing how little of it goes in the cost of the constructing of the house. If we could somehow reduce all that 20 years and litigation and all those things, it would make houses more affordable because by the time you're ready to put a shovel in the ground and you want to build a house, the lot's $250,000.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, we digress.
Yes. So, do you want me to go into our annual progress report?
Sure.
So just, this is the annual progress report for the IDA that we do. And so it just, quick summary is that in 2023, the IDA had 53 active projects, of which 28 had 53 active projects by 28 unique project operators, which means that Eastdale has several projects, sub-projects under that. So, but these projects accounted for over 12,000 FTE jobs and 526 construction jobs and approximately $14 million in pilot payments to Dutchess County. In addition, DCIDA granted $133 million in incentives, generating over $541 million in private investment. Pilots that began in 2023 include 7 phases of Eastdale Village, and 2328 Creek Drive, AP Packaging, USEF, which is the Amazon warehouse, and Violet Estates all started with their pilots in the fall of 2023.
Which is the one that's having disagreements with the contractors and vendors?
Violet Estates.
Has there been any progress on that?
Yes, so they have settled with, I would say half.
Yeah, some of the major, the major ones who were the biggest complaints.
Have they been paid though? Because I know there was agreements, but then we heard they never sent the checks.
Yeah, there were agreements set for a number of them. The concern is simply that there were some that never filed, they filed mechanics liens and then just never followed up and did anything. And I've never heard whether or not they paid them. They said that they were just holding them until later. But what's left is they do have the opportunity to sue, but they don't have the mechanics.
Right.
But the major ones have been resolved.
I know that we got an email within the last couple weeks or 3 weeks from one that said, we signed all the papers and they were supposed to pay us by X date.
Yeah, so that's I would say a misunderstanding by them. It's it's a case of just being anxious about payment.
Okay.
But the Violet Estates, it was with the lawyers, and the Violet Estates did sign it, and it was scheduled for payment the next week. So
Okay.
yeah.
But perhaps it should be said that contractors should be paid on time and not have to go through this.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so again, pilot revenue equated over $14 million in 2023. Prior to IDA status, these projects paid a total of $5.7 million in tax revenue. So this is almost a little less than 3 times, the amount that they were receiving. And then just as a reminder that special districts are paid at the full assessed value. So
They're not in here.
They're not in here. Jobs created, the IDA reported a total of 12,100 jobs at the end of 2023. That's 144 increase from before IDA status.
144%.
144% increase from before IDA status. These jobs, these projects represented a little less than 5,000 jobs pre-IDA. And then the rest of the report just shows in detail the projects. It lists the projects and the number of jobs created. Our recapture policy identifies those projects that are not able to meet 90% of the employment goals that they had recorded in their, stated in their application would be subject to recapture. At this time, no projects are subject to recapture. They have all, with the exception of 3 projects, and those 3 projects are before a recapture agreement. And so while Arbor Ridge, Built Parcel 3 and 4, and IBM are below their below that 90%, they are not subject to our recapture policy. I will also say that all 3 projects, remain to be significant projects for their community. Arbor Ridge is a significant community partner in their community. They opened their new adult daycare facility to the community, and the community uses that as a community center. They are also, a beloved healthcare provider.
Are they hoping to get to the numbers?
They do. They're having recruitment issues. So they do have the job openings. They just have a hard time filling them. So
Got it.
So that's Built Parcel 3 and 4. We think with the completion of Built Parcel 6 that they will meet their employment numbers. That has been always a challenge for them, is that because that project was not completely built as planned, that's why they didn't meet the numbers. So we are optimistic that with now Built Parcel 6, which has the British Swim School as a tenant, as well as one other tenant, that they will be able to meet their employment goals for that.
So that will help backfill these?
Yes.
Okay.
Backfilled, Built Parcel 3 and 4. And then IBM, they've historically met their goals up until 2020. And since 2020, we've been seeing a small decrease every year in their employment numbers there.
But it shows the project's over in 2 years.
So yes, and the project's over in 2 years.
And I mean, there are times, and I use the gap as an example as well, when projects are approved, you're looking at the current technology, right? As much as we would have loved the gap to maintain the numbers of jobs that were originally proposed, in the competitive world that they're in and the robotics that have come through, unfortunately, But it's understandable. You couldn't expect them to maintain those jobs. They'd be out of business. So we have, and I think with IBM, you run into a similar thing. With AI and automation, some of the jobs that, how many years ago were anticipated, we'd love them to be there, but they don't exist anymore. And the big picture is we still have a huge employer there. So.
Sorry, go ahead.
For IBM's employment figure, I know a lot of their employees are actually subcontracted by other companies. Do those employees count in these
No.
numbers? So there are a lot of employees over there that aren't actually working for IBM, but are,
Yes. Yes.
That's counting.
Yeah, exactly. So it's only direct employees that are getting a paycheck.
So I'm going to be clear, we expect to hold people accountable for what they promise, but at the same time, we do have to have some flexibility based on the real world.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So, but in the real world with automation and robotic handling coming into place, isn't the measurement really a combination of the jobs and the actual payroll? Because it's the value of, that's the value to the economy is the payroll.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Frito-Lay, so they're gonna have much more.
Yeah, and we are seeing payroll increases. So we do ask for the average salary of their.
Yes, you're right.
And
So, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, one of the challenges we have is entry-level employees. And a lot of the robotics and automation are replacing those jobs, but what they bring is less jobs, but higher paying jobs, because the people that run those things have to have much greater skills. So.
Right. So we're using jobs as
Point being,
number.
yes.
Yes.
It's a good point.
Yeah, and I would say one of the reasons why we're using jobs, and I can maybe add payroll in the future report, is we're using the data that Paris,
Got it.
pulling it from Paris, and Paris doesn't use payroll as an indicator. So, but we can, because we collect that data of average, we can.
That's a very good point, Mark.
Yeah.
That would be helpful to know.
Yeah.
Because, that could turn something that appears on paper to be a lack of success into actually still achieving what we want. Okay.
And then on page 7, you'll see those projects that are currently under construction. Their employment numbers are very low under construction. Sales tax in 2023, 11 projects received sales tax benefits. None of these projects went over the approved amounts, so no recapture is necessary or was necessary in 2023. Workforce compliance, 2 projects completed construction in 2023. USEF, Amazon Warehouse, completed construction at 84%. As a reminder, our policy says that the projects have to have 80% total hours completed by people who reside in the workforce workshed, our labor shed. And so Amazon completed 84% compliance with 8 waivers filed. Asahi Shuzo.
So just when we say that they were out of compliance 16% of the time, that means that they had to apply for waivers for that.
No, so they can hire workers out of the 20% of the time.
Got it, okay.
If they feel that they're going to go under that 80%, that's when they apply for the waivers.
Okay.
And then Asahi Shuzo completed their project at 100% compliance with no waivers filed. So no recapture is necessary at this time. And then just a summary, again, for the 2023 projects, 3 new projects and 3 amendments were executed. That is Can-Am, the Hudson Valley Logistics owner, that we now know that Stellantis will be the tenant. Tompkins Terrace, T-Rex Hyde Park owner for phase 2, and then the different phases of Eastdale. Any questions?
Any questions? All right. So, We did the project performance report. Meeting schedule, same thing as the other one, you know, we meet on those days, but we will adapt as we need to. Is there anything else that we need to discuss? Okay, I'd like to adjourn the meeting.